Thanks for joining us here on the CBN News Channel. I'm Ephraim Graham. An historic bipartisan immigration reform bill passed its first test Tuesday on the Senate floor. Lawmakers voted overwhelmingly to begin debate on the legislation, but many predict it will be an uphill battle. It's a landmark bill that could put millions on the path to citizenship.
Times change, and the immigration system has to change with those times.
The Senate voted 82-15 to move the legislation forward into debate. But that's only the first of many hurdles. Many of the Republicans who voted yes Tuesday say they won't support the bill in a final vote unless its border security language is strengthened, a position backed up by the GOP leadership in the House.
Especially in the area of border security and internal enforcement of this system, I'm concerned that it doesn't go far enough.
The bill would offer a 13-year path to citizenship for the 11 million immigrants who have overstayed their visas or arrived in the U.S. illegally since the end of 2011. They would be required to pay fines and back taxes, and they couldn't participate in any government social programs during the process.
So this is no cakewalk, but it's the only way we can make sure that everyone who's here is playing by the same rules as ordinary families.
The plan also expands visas for low-skilled workers and entrepreneurs and requires employers to check the legal status of every worker.
A failure to have a rational and positive immigration program will choke this economy. It's not a good idea.
But while many lawmakers seem ready to move forward and begin debating this bipartisan bill, conservative institutions and voters still have objections, which make it politically difficult for Republicans in Congress. It remains unclear whether the legislation will pass in the House. Now, the bill has potential political upsides for both parties. For the president, it could be his big second-term accomplishment. Republicans hope it will help them gain political favor with Latino voters. Republican Senator Marco Rubio played a key role in pushing forward immigration legislation. He's had a hard task selling the idea to skeptical conservatives. CBN Chief Political Correspondent David Brody sat down with Rubio to talk about why the issue is so important.
It may not be impossible, but Marco Rubio is on a mission, and passing immigration reform involves convincing two audiences, Spanish speakers
Muchos en la izquierda quieren decir eso.
Usted está a favor de la ley de Arizona.
and influential conservatives like those who listen to Rush Limbaugh.
The first question I have for you is why are we doing this?
Well, for one, as a Cuban-American, Rubio walks the walk. And as the lone Tea Party sponsor, he also gives the effort a bipartisan feel. But if he's not satisfied with the final bill, Rubio could walk away. His job, bring conservatives on board.
Has this been harder of a sell than you originally thought?
You know, the answer to it is yes and no.
Well, the easy part is this. He believes a majority of the country would accept illegal immigrants as long as there are penalties that go along with it. Rubio also sees hope in the evangelical community.
I think the biggest change has not been in the pulpit, it's been in the pews. You know, the folks that are attending church that maybe 5 years ago felt differently about this issue, now they're worshiping next to an illegal immigrant family. Now they've met someone who's in this circumstance.
The harder sell for Rubio is making sure the bill clearly enforces border security.
I think that's where we are right now in this debate is, can we do enough about border security so that people will support doing something about the 11 million? And that's what I'm focused on. That's what I'm working on trying to accomplish. We've gone to my colleagues, and what they're saying is, look, we just don't think it's enough. We don't trust the administration, quite frankly, Republican or Democrat. We've been told this before, that they're going to secure the border, and that never happens.
So the question for Rubio is, what is his line in the sand?
For me, if we start trading, let's say if we start weakening the guest worker program in exchange for stronger border security, I'm not interested in that horse trading.
A number of Tea Party conservatives accuse Rubio of pushing bad policy from the streets.
We put him in office, and this is not what he promised us.
To the airwaves back home in Florida.
Senator Marco Rubio is making the same promises, like real border security. Promise broken.
To the ever-powerful talk radio circuit.
I can tell you from my radio listeners, they think it's time to stop dividing the Republican Party on this issue with all your good intentions, and I know you have them.
Therein lies the political dilemma. Rubio is considered by many to be a GOP frontrunner for president in 2016. His support for immigration reform, however, might hurt his standing with conservatives in the primaries.
It's a political reality of what could potentially happen.
Well, the day I start making decisions around here with the mind towards what other office I want to run for, I'll no longer be very effective. Whatever God's plan is fine. Whatever's going to happen on this issue, whatever's going to happen with me is what God's already planned for me. My job is just to be obedient and have faith in that regard. And that's really something like everybody else, I struggle with that because the human side of us wants us to think about the here and now. But I think ultimately, if you try to approach every issue in life, from the smallest detail to a big issue like this, with that viewpoint, it gives you a sense of peace and calm about it you wouldn't otherwise have.
He's going to need that calming peace during the turbulent days ahead. David Brody, CBN News, Washington.
The State Department is fighting a new allegation that it covered up sex scandals during Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's watch. A former State Department investigator leaked an internal memo blaming senior officials for interfering in the investigations. One allegation says a U.S. ambassador often ditched his security detail to solicit sexual favors in a park near the embassy. The memo also alleges 3 of Clinton's security agents solicited prostitutes while on official trips.
Of course, take every allegation of misconduct seriously, and we investigate them thoroughly.
The State Department argues the cases were all investigated and the agents were either cleared or punished. The American Civil Liberties Union is suing the Obama administration over the NSA's program of collecting public phone records and internet usage. The ACLU is demanding the administration end the program and purge all records it collected. Tuesday, intelligence officials tried to soothe Congress in an extended briefing. FBI, Justice Department, and other intelligence officials testified the programs are necessary to protect America and do not violate privacy rights. Legislators remain skeptical, saying there should be greater oversight in the courts and in Congress. Meanwhile, the scandal isn't just hurting the Obama administration here at home. On CBN's Newswatch, Regent University Executive Vice President Paul Bonicelli said the programs are also hurting the U.S. internationally.
There are a lot of countries that have strong civil liberties protections, Bill of Rights issues, and they don't like the hypocrisy above all. They know that the United States is a place that receives asylum seekers. We always talk about protecting people's rights with the Bill of Rights, and yet we look like we're doing exactly what we condemn other countries for.
NSA Chief Keith Alexander is testifying before Congress today. House Speaker John Boehner doesn't buy the White House's timetable for when the president knew about the IRS scandal targeting conservative groups. The president has said he didn't learn about it until seeing news reports the day the story broke. Boehner says that's inconceivable.
It's based on the fact that many of his senior staff knew about it and have known about it for some time. I know how I operate with my senior staff. I meet with them every morning. It would be inconceivable in my operation that my staff would know it and I wouldn't. It just doesn't pass the straight face test.
According to the Inspector General's report, conservative groups were targeted during the 2010 and 2012 elections. At least 4 major fires are blazing across Colorado today. The worst is in the Black Forest area near Colorado Springs. Thousands of people have been forced to evacuate, and as many as 60 structures, including homes, are damaged or destroyed. Dry and windy conditions are fueling the blaze. Officials estimate the Black Forest fire has already burned around 8,000 acres. It is 0% contained. Coming up, boys using the girls' locker room and Christian youth groups losing tax-exempt status, how one group is fighting back, and how you can join them.
Today we're on a field trip to discover what inflation is doing to our paper money. In this hand is a $20 bill, and in this hand is a $20 U.S. gold coin. They used to have the same buying power, but how much can they buy today? In this first basket is what my $20 bill buys: milk, bread, peanut butter, and jelly. And here's what one $20 gold coin will buy: 6 baskets full, worth nearly $2,000, almost 100 times more food, simply by owning gold dollars instead of paper dollars. History shows that the gold coins have been the best way to beat the rising cost of living. So class, the moral is that unless you want to live on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the future, You should turn some paper dollars into gold coins now. How and why is explained in a new book, The Great Debasement. Call the number below for a totally free copy. And that's the simple truth.
Help! If an emergency happened right now, you can have help at the push of a button with Medical Alert.
Remember when I took that fall, Mary?
Oh, yes, that was terrible.
Yes, it was.
Help!
And I thought, what if you hadn't been there? I ordered my Medical Alert the next day.
I can't describe how safe I feel now with my Medical Alert. You didn't know I was wearing it, did you?
Medical Alert is easy to install, waterproof, and covers you inside your home and out.
It helps me feel safe from fires, break-ins.
And of course, a Medical Alert. And if you don't have a home phone, don't worry. They have that covered.
There's always help at the push of a button. Don't wait till you need it.
Get Medical Alert for less than $1 a day. There are no long-term contracts. Order now and get your second button free. Call for your free brochure.
For your free Medical Alert system with second button free, call 800-575-8507.
The Supreme Court has rejected a free speech case about showing graphic abortion images. A Colorado ruling blocked abortion protesters from displaying images of aborted fetuses near a church where they might upset children. That ruling now stands. The case stems from a 2005 protest near an outdoor service at an Episcopal church that is accused of supporting abortion. A judge later barred protesters from displaying the gruesome images. An appeals court upheld that order, saying it only applied to the church and the protesters and could not be applied generally. But some experts say it eats away at freedom of speech. President Obama has issued his annual proclamation for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, LGBT Pride Month. The president says this month is about making our country a more perfect union. He reminds Americans he overturned the military's Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy and led a global campaign to create the only UN resolution that protects sexual orientation. Bill Clinton was the first U.S. president to declare Gay Pride Month in 2000. President Obama picked up the practice again in 2009. Anti-trafficking advocates say an Oregon bill could make the state a magnet for sex trafficking. It would penalize people who buy sex with children by charging them with a misdemeanor rather than a felony. 43 states currently make such a crime a felony. Supporters of Oregon's bill say a felony is too harsh a punishment for those who inadvertently pay for sex with a minor. But anti-trafficking advocates say a lesser penalty would make Oregon a trafficking destination. California state lawmakers have been pushing through legislation that blurs gender rules for youth groups, schools, and sports teams. One bill would give teenage boys who quote-unquote identify with girls full access to girls' sports and teams as well as facilities. That includes girls' showers, bathrooms, and locker rooms. Another bill could revoke tax exemptions for nonprofit youth groups that do not embrace homosexuality or gender identity disorder. Now, joining us now with more on this is Brad Dagestan. He is with the Pacific Justice Institute. So, Brad, what sort of nonprofit youth groups does this apply to in this Senate bill, and what would it do to them?
Yeah, this Senate bill, SB 323, applies to every nonprofit youth organization in the state of California, period. So, for example, it applies to the Boy Scouts, it applies to the 4-H Club, Special Olympics for Youth, but it also applies to Young Life, Youth for Christ, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, Awanas. There's no exception for religious organization or convictions. Bottom line is, if these organizations, if these groups are not willing to hire homosexual or transgendered youth leaders, then they will lose their state tax exempt status and actually have to pay taxes on all donations brought into their organizations, which would be extremely hard and crippling.
Let's talk about the school sports legislation. Explain what the impact would be, and does this just apply to public schools or private schools as well?
Yeah, this just applies to public schools. But what it says, which is very large, by the way, of course, what it says is that if a boy comes to school and he says, you know, I feel like I'm a girl, no counseling is required, doesn't matter what the parents say, doesn't matter what the psychologist says, then it doesn't matter. If he says he feels like a girl, then instantly he is to be treated like a girl and have access to the girls' bathrooms, the girls' locker rooms, to shower, to use the girls' showers when they use them, to be on the girls' athletic teams. And of course, it also applies to girls who say that they feel like a boy. And this is a serious, not just to the kids and the privacy issues, but it's also a serious setback to these young people who are working through real psychological gender identity disorders. It's being very irresponsible, and it's to their demise that this might become law.
So what is the status of these measures in the California legislature?
Well, right now, unfortunately, the Boy Scouts, anti-Boy Scouts bill has already passed the state Senate. It's already moving on its way to the state assembly. It passed 27-9. All the 27 were Democrats. All the 9 that voted against it were Republicans. Now it's moving to the state assembly. The other legislation, AB 1266, which deals with the boys going in girl locker rooms, that already passed the state assembly. It's now moving to the state Senate. And so we at the Pacific Justice Institute are working really hard to rally people to contact their state legislators, and specifically to make it easy, if they could go to genderinsanity.com, genderinsanity.com. It's a special website we've created just so people can go to that website and know who to contact to weigh in against these bills. If they become law, then we at the Pacific Justice Institute will have no choice but to challenge them in federal court. And it's not going to be an easy battle, so we want to stop it right here.
Considering the overwhelming numbers in the votes that you talked about, can anything be done to stop the gender identity and gay rights activism that's essentially trampling on religious rights for Americans?
Yeah, it is serious setback. It makes the homosexual marriage look like a child's play, because here we're talking about impacting young children at a very young age in a very strong, dominant way. That's much more serious. And so the bottom line is that it can be stopped. We believe it can be stopped if people contact their state legislators in the state of California. And make no mistake, if this goes through in California and we can't stop it, it will be coming to a state near you, and all 50 states eventually. That's why we have to stop it in its tracks. And we at Pacific Justice Institute encourage people once again to go to genderinsanity.com to help us accomplish this important task.
Brad Dagestan with the Pacific Justice Institute, thank you so much for your time as always.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Up next, we travel to a mosque in Dagestan where one of the Boston bombers made regular visits and met 2 Islamic terrorists. Plus, Christians in the region risk their lives to tell what's really going on.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
Israel's border with Syria is getting more tense. Austria began withdrawing its nearly 400 UN peacekeepers today from the Syrian border. This leaves just more than 500 peacekeepers of the UN force that has monitored the Golan since 1974. Last week, Syrian rebels overran a crossing point and fighting from the Syrian civil war threatened the UN positions. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said this week the Austrian withdrawal shows Israel can only rely on itself for its security. Chechnya, Dagestan, North Caucasus, places most people probably never heard of before the Boston Marathon bombings. The two brothers suspected of carrying out the attacks lived in this violent area of Russia before moving to the U.S. As George Thomas found out, radical Muslims are still fighting for control of the region.
In a small three-bedroom house on the outskirts of town, Ramza and his wife spend a few quiet moments reading the Bible and praying.
I'm not a political person, never have been, never want to be. My focus is on loving people.
Speaking on the condition we hide his identity, Ramza is among a handful of Christians secretly sharing the gospel in one of Russia's most dangerous places.
I've been arrested many times. I'm constantly watched by the Russian police and radical Islamists, but I will never stop preaching. This is my home.
Home is the North Caucasus region. For nearly 2 decades, radical Muslims have fought Russian forces almost daily to take over the region for Islam. Their goal to turn 5 Russian republics, including Chechnya and Dagestan, into one huge Islamic emirate.
People of North Caucasus have historically practiced a traditional form of Islam, but that's changed as more people embrace a radical form of Islam.
The two brothers suspected in the Boston Marathon attacks were born and lived in the North Caucasus before moving to the U.S. In 2012, older brother Tamerlan Tsarnaev spent 6 months here in Dagestan. He made regular visits to this mosque in the capital city. CBN News tried to get an on-camera interview with the imam. He refused. Tamerlan reportedly met 2 known Islamic terrorists at the mosque, both of whom were later killed in shootouts with Russian forces. Investigators have yet to establish if Tamerlan received any training or had any links to known jihadist networks operating in the region. Chechnya was once the epicenter of the Islamist battle. Russia fought 2 brutal wars against Chechen fighters in the 1990s, trying to stop them from Islamizing the province. Yelena Mutraeva was only a year old when the first war started.
As I grew older, I heard stories from my parents of how horrible it was back then.
Tens of thousands were killed, hundreds of thousands of Chechens displaced.
I remember my parents and I crossing the border to a neighboring province once the bombs started falling.
It left the province in ruins. The capital city, Grozny, was decimated.
Several years ago, Grozny was described as the most destroyed city in the world. Not anymore. The Russian government has been pouring in billions of dollars, and in fact, today, Chechnya receives the most money out of all 85 provinces.
The evidence is everywhere. Rebuilt streets, walls once riddled with bullet holes are gone. New apartments going up, skyscrapers rising to the skies.
I don't think anyone could have imagined the changes happening this fast.
And the Kremlin-imposed leader of Chechnya has ruled with an iron fist, cracking down severely on radical Islamists in the province.
He has managed to keep them under control, for now.
But beneath the surface, Chechens too scared to talk on camera speak of a rising anger against the ruling authorities. Jihadists who once fought on these streets of Grozny have now taken the fight to the neighboring province of Dagestan. In May, a female suicide bomber attacked the central square in the capital, injuring dozens. The bombers in Russia are called Black Widows because many are the widows of Islamic radicals killed by security forces. More than a dozen Black Widows have carried out suicide missions since 2000.
Back in 1999, a group of radical Muslims attempted to turn Dagestan into an emirate ruled by Islamic Sharia law. The Russian army stepped in and quickly stamped that out. But since then, this province, home to about 2.5 million people, has today some 3,000 mosques and growing.
Sasha, another secret Christian believer, lived next door to 2 Islamic insurgents killed during a police raid. We've taken similar precautions to protect his identity. Sasha says he actively shares the gospel with Muslims in the North Caucasus. But it isn't easy. He was twice beaten by Muslims.
I always thought God would protect me as his son, but then I understood that if we have the honor to believe in our Savior, then we also have the honor to endure things that he went through in some ways. When we are persecuted and feel physical pressure in our lives, then we in reality start to understand and feel how close God is to us.
The provinces of the North Caucasus are one of the least evangelized places on earth. The rising Islamic fervor has prevented many Russians from even visiting the region. But for Ramza, Sasha, and other believers who were quietly in the shadows, it's a risk worth taking to make the name of Christ known.
Only Jesus can change lives and bring the hope people are looking for.
George Thomas, CBN News, Makhachkala, Dagestan.
When you're driving along and your cell phone rings, do your eyes instantly go off the road? Then you need to get a grip. Hi, David Jones here with the new Grip Go, the most versatile hands-free mount that will instantly grip any phone for safe driving. Just attach the suction cup to your windshield or dash, and Grip Go grabs your phone ultra fast. Then it peels right off. And don't worry, there's no sticky residue left behind. The 360-degree pivoting mount allows you to always get the perfect viewing angle. It's even strong enough to grab and hold this expensive smartphone out the window. Yet it comes right off with ease. That's the advantage of Grip Go. You can get the amazing Grip Go with dashboard mount for only $14.95. We'll send you a second kit free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Get 2 complete Grip Go systems for just $14.95.
To order Grip Go for $14.95 plus processing and handling, call 1-800-709-5259 or order online at getgripgo.com.
Jim is 38, mortgage, married, 3 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. Jim can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $19 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll comparison shop the pick of insurance companies like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. Jim's wife, Deidre, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
A Texas woman has been reunited with her son after 22 years apart. Cherie Alvis gave her son up for adoption when he became critically ill at birth.
It was something I did not want to do, but it was either give my son life with someone else, another family that could take care of him and actually give him an opportunity in life, or to let him die in my arms with me.
She basically had to have another family keep me alive, and I'm proud of her for that. I feel like everybody has to make hard choices in their life at one point, and some are harder than others.
Cherie posted a picture of her son on Facebook. He saw the picture and responded, "Here I am, Mom." Well, that is going to do it for this edition of the CBN News Channel. Hope you'll join us again right here next time. Have a great day, everybody.
If you had a choice between going bald and a full head of hair, which would you choose? Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
Yes!
You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. But the entire process can't be explained in 60 brief seconds. So to find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So don't put it off any longer. You owe it to yourself to find out the facts. Choose hair. Choose Bosley.
Call 800-868-9957. That's 800-868-9957.
Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.